Hey guys, we are taking off to town. I have been in the office all day. I ran down in the kitchen and I started some chicken boiling slowly for us to make dumplings this evening. But I got to get to the bank and then come back. And John and I had, and I know y'all see my hair, I let it just dry naturally this morning, or air dry, and it's still kind of damp, but I do heatless curls, you know, just trying to take care of my longer hair. Y'all know how that is. And anyway, so yeah, that's why it's all poofy. Poof! This is my hair when it dries naturally, okay? But anyway, and I want to show y'all that because so many of you ask me, yeah, I did those pickled jalapenos, and y'all ask me, where did you get that beautiful band in your hair? Please show us that. I love it. And y'all, that was just a heatless curl thing. And so I'm going to I think I'm gonna try to do a video this evening or tonight before I get in the bed real quick of that little band and show y'all. Addie and I have one alike. Addie, my granddaughter, isn't that funny? I love it. And anyway, it reminds me of the older days. Now's back is what. So anyway, but what I wanted to tell y'all about, and I'm watching the road, okay? So I don't want to scare anybody. Y'all are right here and I'm watching this road. But this, just a couple of days ago, John and I were going to check one of our hay fields. It's down the road from us a ways, and it's on a dirt part of the road, and on a dirt road, and it's in the middle of nowhere, which y'all know we live in the middle of nowhere, but this extraordinary thing happened. We were coming along on a really sharp curve on this dirt road, and it is a sharp curve where John's daddy, there was an older couple that lived there, farmers, and years ago, before I met John, when John was still a kid, his daddy got a phone call from the woman living there, the farmer woman. I'm not going to say their names. And she said her husband, he had gone out on the tractor. I don't know if he was feeding hay or doing something with the tractor, and he hadn't come in, and it was dark, and she was afraid to go check. She didn't know where to go look, and she called John's daddy, Mac, because he was right down the road, and said, hey, would you please go check and see where my husband is? He hadn't come in. And so Mac said, of course. Well, Mac took off, and when he got at that sharp curve where John and I were going past that to check hay, there he found that man, and his tractor had flipped over on him, and it had killed him. So that's always been a memory in us, even though it didn't happen to John and me, but his daddy always talked about it because it was traumatic, you know. It was just awful and horrible. That sweet couple left all of their land, I believe, to the Louisiana Baptist Children's Home. So that was a good thing. I guess maybe they never had children. I never knew them. I just knew that story. So John and I are driving on the four-wheeler, and we're getting to that sharp curve because we've got to go way past it to go check one of our hay fields to see if it's ready to cut. So we're heading off. It's dusk, okay, because I had been busy, John had been busy, and he's like, baby, I'd like to go check that before we head off, before it gets dark, and see if I need to get ready to cut hay. So I was like, he's like, you want to ride with me? A lot of times I won't have time, you know. And I said, yeah, I would, you know. I like to get out for a minute. So we took off down that dirt road on the four-wheeler, and as we're coming up on that curve, we see, couldn't tell who it was. They were covered in mud, this huge four-wheeler, and it was three people. One of them was a tiny little baby girl, still in a diaper, and it was two young girls, one black girl, one white girl, young, I would say maybe in their 20s, and this little baby girl, she seemed about like Ashley's age, you know, 2 to 3. She was just like really frightened because those silly girls, oh my goodness, they just scared us. And what I'm saying is they were all okay. And I just thank God. Oh, I was so thankful. I kept on and I kept on, and I keep thinking about it these last couple of days, and every time I just thank him, because they were riding this huge four-wheeler. It was bigger than our four-wheeler, had a big old back seat on it. new, like brand new. And I'm laughing because I'm like frustrated for whoever this is, but I'm glad the people are okay. But the girl driving, she was running in every ditch in the mud puddles, in and out. And as you go on down the dirt road, you see she's doing this, in and out of the mud puddles and the ditches, which is real fun. But if you don't know what's under the puddle, then it can turn unfun real fast. So she was going pretty fast. They're about to get in this sharp curve, which a sharp curve wasn't a problem, but there was a culvert in that puddle. John knew it was there because he grew up there, right in there. She didn't. They were like 7 miles from home, okay? They had been riding and riding and riding. No, you know, no seatbelts, no protective, nothing. And this little baby girl, they hit that pretty quick speed, hit that culvert. I'm at a stop sign. I'm going to show y'all. They hit that culvert, flipped up in the air all the way around and over. So the four-wheeler was facing where they were coming, and it threw them off and flipped it on the other way. So we're driving up to this. It literally had just happened, and they had been able to like stand up. One of the girls her leg was killing her because she said she had tried to block that baby girl from falling off. So we're coming up to this. All we see is people covered in mud and this humongous four-wheeler literally on its side. And so I'm just thinking, oh my. And the whole time it's in that sharp curve where John's daddy had found that man under his tractor dead. And I just was like, oh, I don't know. It was this horrible feeling. And anyway, we get up there and we're like, are y'all okay? Is everybody okay? And they were just kind of in shock and stunned and going, uh-huh. And now one of the girls, she was saying her leg and her ankle was hurting her real bad. And so I said, I cannot believe this baby girl's okay. And she said, I had just put her, she was riding on the back because, like I say, she wasn't any taller than Ashley, still in diapers. And she said she was been riding on the back, but I just decided to stick her between us. And I think that must be the only thing to save that little precious child. And she was so upset, you know, because that scared her. It scared everybody. She saw us. Well, we hopped off the four-wheeler, and John kind of went over there, you know, as the man started assessing the situation, how he could get their four-wheeler flipped back up. And that little baby girl saw me. I'm waving at Mr. Alvin Fudge. He was just waving. She saw me and she ran up and grabbed me around the legs and just hugged me. I guess she was just so glad to see somebody and be off that four-wheeler because I'm sure it scared her about half to death. And so anyway, we told the girls, John said, one girl was trying to call somebody. I think he may have been the owner of the four-wheeler because when she told him it was on its side, he said a few choice words. But then he did ask, were they okay? And so anyway, John hooked our winch to it and he was able to flip it back over. It was much bigger and heavier than ours. And so it took him a few times with our four-wheeler and it flipped back up. Well, as soon as it flipped back up, you could see oil just draining, just dumping out of the front end. And John was like, the front end is shot and bent, and he's like, that thing's brand new. And I was like, oh my goodness, somebody gonna be mad. Glad they're okay, but mad that thing is so trashed. So anyway, she said, I don't know what happened. I was driving. It was a little white girl driving. She said, and I hit this mud puddle, and all of a sudden we just went, you know, they went airborne and flipped and flopped and fell off. And she's like, it just happened when y'all came. And I told her, I was like, there's nobody for miles. And she's like, we've been riding for miles. John said, where did y'all come from? And they told us the road. And he's like, yeah, that's about 6-7 miles back down this dirt road and down another dirt road. And, you know, because y'all knows this whole area big time. So anyway, the man they were talking to said there's this couple here and they're going to tow us back. So we hooked our winch. They had a winch on there, so we hooked it to the back of our four-wheeler. And that poor little baby girl, bless her heart, she started crying. She didn't want to get back on that four-wheeler, and I don't blame her, but she did. We told her, we promise it's going to be okay, and she was like, okay. So we put her back on there, and we helped get the little black girl up there because her leg was still hurting her. And so we towed them for 6, almost 7 miles, and slowly, you know, down hills and around curves on this dirt road. And we finally got them home. And of course, they thanked us. And we just told them we're just so thankful y'all are okay. And I told her that. I said, John was going to check this hayfield this morning, and he got this phone call, and he wasn't able to run and go check on it real quick, so he started on another little project. And otherwise, we wouldn't have been coming down here this evening. But he said, baby, I never did get to check that hayfield. Would you ride with me real quick? And she's like, oh, and she actually said that, oh, well, there's God right there. And I thought, yes, it is. And I thought, and y'all are alive right now. So, yeah, there's God right there. So, anyway, that was just like, I just keep thinking about it. And I was like, I just want to share that with y'all. But every time I think about it, I just thank God that those girls are okay, and especially the little baby girl. She didn't say, yeah, I want to get on that. She didn't have a choice. And when we drove up in their yard and we pulled them up, they said pull up by the home and in the shade. We did. The little baby girl said, yay! She just threw her hands, yay! And I started doing it with her, and I started clapping, and she was so happy to be back home. Bless her little heart. But anyway, I'm just coming on here thanking God out loud. Thank you, Jesus, that those girls were okay. And the four-wheeler did not make it, but the girls did. But anyway, so then we dropped them off. We told them it was nice to meet them and take care. And then we zipped around and we headed 6-7 miles back to check on our hayfield. And yes, it was ready to be cut. So John's getting ready to cut on that this week. You got to cut your hay in between rains and then get it raked and baled in between rains. So it gets a little bit tricky, you know. But sometimes you got to go pay the preacher to keep it from raining, right? That's what Benny Archie, our neighbor, said that one time. It was raining in everybody else's hayfield except one that John was cutting on. And Benny Archie said, John, you went paid the preacher, didn't you? Just being silly. And so we were thankful. We were very thankful that time. But anyway, so I was just thankful for those girls and that they were okay. But yeah, that was an ordeal that happened to us. And we thought we were just going to zip real quick and look at the hay and then zip on back to the house. And y'all, after we rode that far and I was hanging on to the back of the four-wheeler, kind of halfway on the seat, and my lower back is killing me. It's been hurting me for 2 days. Maybe that's what keeps reminding me to pray a prayer of thanks for those girls. But anyway, that's all I just wanted to tell y'all. Like I say, I started a dumpling video with y'all, and I didn't do a whole chicken. I just did some boneless, skinless chicken breasts and boneless, skinless chicken thighs so I could hurry up and do them. And I rolled out the dumplings with y'all. They're sitting in the refrigerator, so when I get back from running to the bank and the post office, then I'm going to put those together with y'all on another video, of course. But I just wanted to tell y'all that story. I was thankful they were okay. It was traumatic, but it also made me feel good that they were okay. I'm just talking at our son Blake. He's at the rock yard just then. But it just made me feel good that they were okay and that we were able to help them. Because, yeah, they would have been there till after dark. The man they had called, he was in Monroe, so they would have been there after dark with the little baby girl. And they were going to take the other girl to the hospital and make sure her leg was okay and her ankle, and she had on rubber boots. So I was like, let's get this boot off of you in case you have some swelling. So anyway, we were just thankful to be there, and we're glad that a lot of times John will pray that in our supper prayer. He'll say, if there's anyone in need, bring them to us, let us see them. So they were in need, and